Morning guys, welcome to DOdaily. Attack the day. It's Des here. Of course, ready to wake up to walk. After a few weeks of doing different things, I'm back on the Robin Hood Way, high up in North Notts, really high. I'm actually almost on the border with Derbyshire and South Yorkshire, heading towards a place called Cresswell. It's famous for its crags, which are caves from prehistoric times. Just crossed over the A60 from the Welbeck Estate, busy road that runs almost all the way through the county, and I'm about 10 yards from it now. And when I started out, where I live is about 10 yards from the A60, rather bizarrely. So I followed that all the way up, but in reality, it's probably about 35-40 miles. So whilst it was a really early start this morning, it is getting light, finally. I was getting out of the car. Thankfully, the darkness had just sort of passed over. Wasn't really looking forward to walking or filming in the dark, but you know, where I am at the moment, absolutely amazing. With it being so early, day having just broke, you know, it's really quiet. Part of the world I don't know a great deal, so I've got to sort of keep my wits about me, looking out for these way markers. But looking forward to getting a few miles in. A little bit pressed for time this morning, so been relatively short. Whilst I do need to get this sort of done, ticked off with, you know, this morning, it's going to be a couple of miles, just ticking a few more off, getting a few more in the bank. So in the next couple of weeks, I can look to really sort of finish everything off. Looking forward to that now, despite the fact I really enjoy what I'm doing. I've mentioned a few times the logistics were a little bit tough, you know, but that doesn't really matter, you know. Being out here is all that matters. On a fine autumn morning, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm so pleased it is a fine autumn morning. Just starting to fear that the real cold weather was going to set in. So it might get a little dark. I'm just walking into the trees. Really worried that the dark and cold would set in, but it's really mild. I was out sort of late last night, just doing one or two things, and it felt like a bit of an Indian summer, but that makes it much more enjoyable on a Friday morning. The elements won't put me off, but for now, it's definitely a plus. Couple of tricky bits to go through there, but I was saying how much I need to do these things, you know, even when I am busy, to really sort of set about things properly. And it really does sort of get me going, get the endorphins flowing, which we can get anywhere. You know, I could be walking around the Trent, I could be going out for a run, going to the gym. There's many ways of doing that. It's not all about this, of course. I'd love to encourage activity of any form, but for me, this ticks so many boxes. I mentioned the views already, but it puts me in a good mood. So it makes me feel like I've done something, achieved something for the day. We have come out of the way. I've had to get up early. I'm always talking about the importance of that and how difficult I find it. So this morning, you know, is another one I can tick off as a small success. The battle of getting out of bed. And like I say, the mild morning made it that little bit nicer. Wasn't the worst morning to get up in, the worst morning ever. But I'm here now, and that's all that matters. When I look back on the week and what I've sort of spoke about, a lot of it has been reflection, you know, of the past couple of weeks. I've made no sort of bones about that. I've been almost taking in what's happened, you know. I'm always talking about pushing forward, enjoying what we do, making the absolute most of what's coming next. You know, not getting bogged down with rubbish that's gone before. But to be honest, none of it's been rubbish. It's all been good. It's all been amazing stuff. So I've got to sort of thrive on that, haven't I? You know, some might say I'm going on, you know, dwelling on it, but it's definitely not. Why wouldn't we take the good times forward? You know, I'm using that to be positive this week. I touched on yesterday, it's so easy to be sort of reflective and get a bit miserable, you know, forget how much you enjoyed it and the memories it's created. But when I'm out here, you know, at this time especially on my own, talking, thinking, you know, again, getting those endorphins flowing, feeling good about myself, you know, why wouldn't I sort of reflect, take it all on board? Makes me smile when I think about it. How much do we do that in reality, you know? And when we can do it with our own thoughts and our own sort of experiences, that's amazing, isn't it? It just tells me I've got everything I need right now, you know. Again, it's not about what other people think, but some might question and go, oh, he's talking rubbish, he's saying this, he's saying that. It doesn't matter anymore, you know, when I can do what I do, when I can get so much enjoyment from it. That's brilliant. So yeah, it's just been a period of slight reflection, you know. Of course I'll take all those memories forward, you know, and I'll keep dipping back. One thing I have said this week is doing the vlogs on certain occasions. It gives me a real nice memory, you know, and people might look in and say, well, that's a bit cheesy, you know, possibly is, but how many times do people pay for things to be filmed? You know, I've just done it my own way. You know, a bit more personable for myself as well. You know, always talk about being realistic and relatable, but it's a little bit more personable. You know, it's my thoughts, my opinions. It'll tell me a lot in the future about where I was at this time. You know, so just really enjoying getting this out, doing what I'm doing. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not fantastic. I'm just trying to show people that we can kind of look after ourselves, you know, whatever's going on out there. And it's been a big bad world for a long time now. Even beyond the old COVID thing, there's lots of harrowing things in the news and things where people are thinking of themselves. And whilst I'm asking you to do that to some degree, you know, of course, there's no harm in being considerate and trying to help others. You know, ultimately, that's what I'm trying to do. I talk about the fact it helps me more than most, but ultimately I'm trying to help those people who just need that little bit of something different, something to looking at. Somebody who's experienced a crap time in the past, you know, definitely experienced that. Definitely experiencing a high at the moment. You know, and we shouldn't be embarrassed to say that. You know, there's many times in the past where I've been reserved, quiet, shy, you know, and this is all part of this as well. Trying to sort of build my confidence and trying to be that little bit more articulate. I don't think I do too bad a job at that side, but I tend to forget what I say, what I want to say quite a lot. So it's all about sort of just pushing on, isn't it? And when I look forward, you know, there's so much more to go at. Yesterday I was talking about targets, challenges, you know, saying how much I need to do them. I've actually asked people to set me a challenge through the Thursday throwback question, which might be a bit daunting, you know. I'm sure one or two people would love to trip me up, get me doing something out of my comfort zone. But I said if I accept the challenge, I'll do it. That's exactly what I've done with this Robin Hood way. You know, it's tough at the moment, getting up, getting so far away, getting back, starting work. But it's something I said I'd do. You know, and I spoke about 3 or 4 weeks ago about sometimes how tough it is to actually finish things off. And whilst there's been reasons for it, you know, I've just found it has actually been tough. You know, for one reason or another, you know, I couldn't get up here. But I'm here now, you know, and like I say, once I get to Sherwood Forest and that church at Edwinstowe, I think I'll be having a pint to celebrate. I think I'll probably be throwing a big chunk in as well to get it complete. You know, I can look back over the last 6 months, whilst it is a short walk on a Friday morning most weeks, I can actually look back and think, wow, that took me so long. That's like the summer of 2021, you know. Again, it sounds a bit silly, but it is the reality. It's kind of been a prominent feature of what I've done this year, you know, and then in years to come or whenever I feel like it, you know, I can look back and go, yeah, perhaps do it again. Already sort of retracing some of my steps with the guys from the Do Running group. We've done 2 20-odd mile stints to get us halfway through the route. So at some point, probably on a bank holiday in the not too distant future, I'll be taking on the next leg of that. So, you know, and all these things are for me to sort of think about, plan, organise, readjust, reschedule, you know, all the things we have to experience in everyday life. It's not plain sailing, is it? You know, and that's just something I've learned over time. Things aren't plain sailing. This route isn't plain sailing, you know. Small things like the route, big things that impact us sort of long term, and I get deep into our personal lives. But what they are, whilst it's not straightforward, you know, what most things are is temporary. You know, speak about the weather a lot, speak about feelings, and I've just learned, you know, whatever it is, again, just like I said there about those things, nothing's ever permanent. So if you're not feeling fantastic right now, get out for a walk, you know, start putting those foundations in to give it a good go. Again, something I've been talking about this week. Want to make a real effort again with my running, get my injuries sorted, you know, lose some weight. Some big plans for 2022. Always got big plans. A bit like a stuck record, I know. But for now, for the next 2 months and this week in particular, I spoke about not waiting for another time, not waiting till the start of the year, not waiting till next week. I've set about sort of putting those foundations in. And when you put the foundations in, when you start from a solid base, like just getting out and getting a walk, you know, you're giving yourself the best chance. A chance to be happy, be productive, be positive, be forward thinking, you know, and that's all we really need to be, isn't it? I always say, if you can look back at the end of the week and say, that was a pretty good one, you know, or at least that wasn't a bad one. That's not me sort of putting a negative slant on it, you know. I understand, like I said, not all, not every week's going to be the same. You know, so from all the highs of September, which culminated last week, spoke about a lot, you know, to a pretty bog standard, normal, but equally as enjoyable week this week. Feeling really, really good. That's all I've got to say today, guys. Hopefully I can get some pictures. The sun is starting to break through. You know, I'm heading towards those caves at Cresswell Crags. Not quite sure how close or what I'll see, and hopefully I don't have to cross the Derbyshire border. I think this route just about stays in Nottinghamshire. But until next week and Monday motivation, have an absolutely awesome weekend. I'll be up in Manchester supporting the guys doing the Manchester Marathon. You know, something to really sort of feel good about, enjoy, you know, giving a little bit back, you know, because that's all I can do, but that's all I want to do right now. So until then, make it awesome, enjoy yourself, just doing it. Just checking back in briefly, guys. I'm down by the caves I mentioned before. You can see just there, absolutely stunning. You know, I was doing a little bit of reading, and apparently in the Ice Age, people live within them between sort of 10 and 53,000 years ago or whatever it was. But absolutely stunning place to walk. If you get a chance, do come down here. You know, something quite unique so far on the Robin Hood Way. I really enjoyed passing through the caves. Really sort of mystical, quite magical. And with the birds singing and the fresh air, you know, on top of everything I said before, it's just amazing. You know, do visit it if you can.